My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of all the episodes in Tales of the Crypt Season 1. And this season was one giant mixed bag. A couple episodes I really liked, a couple episodes I really hated, and a couple episodes in between. Just a wide range of quality, but I do love the way that each episode begins and ends with the Crypt Keeper. Those moments are just wonderful, and I do like the music by Danny Elfman. So let's begin by talking about the worst episode here, and it's Level Come Hack to Me. And this episode was directed by Tom Holland, who is a director I think is so underrated. Like, I love Fright Night, I love Child's Play, and I even really like Thinner. So I was kind of surprised at just how bland this episode was, and by the end, I was just like, really? That's the story? Like, I don't really get what they were going for. It's just very forgettable and it just falls completely flat. So I hated this one. The second worst episode is The Man Who Was Deaf. And this episode is directed by Walter Hill, who I'm not familiar with his work. I believe he directed the two 48-hour movies with Eddie Murphy, and I think he directed The Warriors, which I haven't seen, but I just thought this episode was so bland. I like the story he's trying to tell. There is some good ideas here, but the execution is just abysmal, and the constant narration just created a disconnect for me. So I see what this episode was going for, so that's why it's not the worst of the season, but it's pretty shitty. The fourth best episode is Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone. And this episode's directed by Richard Donner, who directed Superman the movie, he directed The Goonies, he directed Lethal Weapon, he directed 16 Blocks. The guy's directed plenty of movies, and I do wish it had a bit more personality to it, but I did like the story being told, and the ending does have a punch. Not great, but good enough. I enjoyed it. The third best episode is Only Sin Deep, and this episode is directed by Howard Dutch, who directed Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful, two movies I'm not huge on. And here's the thing. I actually love the story being told about this angry, terrible woman who gets a bunch of money but at a cost. And soon she begins to lose her youth. She uses her good looks. And I do like that in principle. And I do like the note this episode ends on. There is something very effective there. But I just wish they got a better director for this one. I just felt like Howard Dutch's vision fell short. And I found the escalation to happen too fast, and the practical effects were nothing special. So, good story, execution could have been better. I do really like Leah Thompson's performance here. It kind of sounds like she's talking in a Boston accent, and I found it comedic. So it's still good, but could have been better. My second favorite episode is And All Through the House. And this episode is directed by Richard Zemeckis, who is a director I am unfortunately very mixed on. I do love the Back to the Future movies. I do love Castaway. I do love Death Becomes Whole. Oh, he should have directed Only Sins Deep. He directed Flight and The Walk. Like, he has made some amazing movies, but he's also directed Beowulf and A Christmas Carol and The Witches, and the guy, you never know what you're going to get. But I loved what he brought to this episode. I love the dark Christmas vibes. I love the story being told. And I found it to be very tense and effective and efficient. It's short, but it makes the most out of every minute. And I thought the ending was actually quite effective as well. So this one is one I loved, actually. But my favorite episode is Collection Completed, directed by Mary Lambert, who I believe only directed the two Pet Sematary movies. And if I'm being honest, I don't like those movies, but she does a great job here. M. Emmett Walsh gives a great performance, and I just love the story being told because it's really funny and you understand why the characters do what they do and why they are the way that they are. And it just comes to this point at the end of this movie that is just so goofy and comedic and dark, and it just keeps going farther. I thought this episode was so much fun and I really loved it. So that's my ranking of season 1 of Tales from the Crypt. Yes, I do hope this show becomes a bit more consistent, but I'm going to stick with it and watch every episode. But what's your ranking of these episodes? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin,